to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we've got some player props here for you on Monday as we get into the NBA this week. Also have some best bets up in a separate episode, so we're bringing both of these to you each and every weekday this season. Make sure you are subscribed to that YouTube page so you don't miss any of the action all season long and into the playoffs, obviously. Also want you to head to thelines.com and use that link in the description of the video as well for the email newsletter that we're bringing you every Friday. Want to make sure you're checking that out so you don't miss what we're getting on thelines.com as we got baseball season coming up. And Nate and I are also dropping our bonus parlay pick for the NBA. 2-0 there now, a little 2.5 units up, better than that really, on the season so far with the first two newsletters. So looking to keep it going this week. But let's go ahead and first jump into everything we got here for Monday in the play of props, Nate.
Yeah, I'm going to take an under to start us off here. Drew Holiday, 15.5 points and rebounds is a nice price, minus 105 at MGM versus if you just take the points, you get terrible juice here. So I think we can add the rebounds and just bank on a lack of minutes and a lack of, physicality from Drew, who's dealing with multiple injuries and in big spread games is not going to push it. Boston is minus 17.5 here against Jazz. It probably closes at 19.5, maybe 20. The way the Jazz are just punting games, and OKC's coming to town on Wednesday. So you think Drew is going to, risk, hurting himself a little bit more. I'm surprised he's not on the injury report with a chance to sit here. So hopefully this is a nice exploitable situation where you're like, he'll be out there for like 30 minutes, but not trying too hard or risking too much. I mean, he's got this mallet finger issue that kept him out recently. He's been dealing with a shoulder since the start of January. And in these 17 games that he's actually suited up, 8 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, 14% usage, 29 minutes. You look at the one he played here in March against the Lakers, he did go 35 minutes, but really just very low usage, right? What do you go? 7 points on 10% usage. So he's not mixing it up. And as a rebounder, his 5 appearances in February, 3.6 of 6.6 rebound chances. That's 7th in the rotation. That's pretty much last on the Celtics in terms of securing the rebounds he has an opportunity to do. So, I mean, his teammates are aware of, like, he's got these issues. He's been open about, like, the shoulder being a thing he's really worried about. And in his 15th year in the league and load management, and the Celtics are, the seeding is pretty much solidified here in the Eastern Conference. Like, the Celtics have no reason to push him down the stretch. He's waiting for the playoffs where he's going to have to dog guys as he usually does. So I think you can continue to target his unders in big games. Right? The injury report, we have Tatum, Al questionable, but the rest, like all the guards, are good to go here in terms of White, Brown, Pritchard. So they're gonna take the usage. Drew's gonna be happy to just get out of here healthy if he can.
Yeah, big time human victory cigar game in correlation with not a Drew game, which is blowout city for the Celtics, and Pritchard coming in and doing his thing with Jaylen Brown. If Tatum sits and Brown is good, right, because we got Tatum questionable, then 23 points per 36 minutes for Peyton Pritchard when it's no Jason Tatum and KP. So if KP is also out, then we're talking about no Tatum, no
he's
KP.
Doubtful.
Yeah. KP ain't playing. So and I could easily see Tatum sitting as well because, like you said, OKC on Wednesday, Boston's playing the pick your spots game down the stretch. They've been playing it since the All-Star break. So I love this look as well, and I love the sort of filtering it through the lens of what happens when this team wins by a lot. Who's sort of the guy that they let rest? It's been Drew. It's been Drew all season, and we knew that coming into this season that it was going to be Drew, as they're going to need him for their playoff run. The last 2 Eastern Conference teams to win the championship happen to have Drew Holiday on them. I don't think it's coincidence. So let me go to that Suns and Memphis game. I got a couple looks I like in here, man, and I'll give you both of them because I'm that generous. So we get a little bonus pick here. Devin Booker over 7.5 assists. Probably not going to get that at even money anymore. But then Durant over 5.5 rebounds. That's minus 125. I could see that getting to 6.5 before too long. I honestly would probably take 6.5 if you get at least like plus 110. But if you get these regular minus 120, minus 125-ish odds for the 5.5 boards for Durant, love it. But let's just start with Booker. He's done this in all 3 games versus Memphis this season. He's now done this against Memphis in 5 of his last 6, getting at least 8 boards. In fact, he's got 9 boards in 4 of his last 6. So assists, the Booker assists here. And it's a great matchup for assists for the primary ball handler, as it always has been this season, especially as they blitz the defense, allow the 8th most assists per game in the league. They allow the 6th most assists per game they're actually better limiting assists to point guards. But that's actually skewed when you just look at like primary ball handler versus point guard, right? Because not everybody gets this point guard nomenclature, even though they're technically the point guard, right? And Booker often falls into that problem as well. But he is going to be good for assists in terms of the specific matchup. It's also the potential assists because of the fact that they are blitzing him, and he has the hardest matchup on the floor here. He's usually getting Jalen Wells on this one. You've got like Ja Morant kind of dealing. I got the matchups written here. My bad. I just want to make sure. Yeah, Beal and Morant go up against each other on both sides of the floor. Booker and Wells go up against each other as well. And Wells is a good defender. The Rook has definitely been a good big reason why this team has shut down stuff on the perimeter really well. But it's also allowed Devin Booker, who's not worried about a Rook ripping him right and taking the ball from him, 10 potential assists, 19 and 17. But he's gotten at least 8 in all the games this season. And once again, when you have Beal and Durant in with Book, he's at 7.7 assists per game on the season. He's at about 9.5 assists per 36 when he's got both those guys out there with him. So yeah, the Beal stuff is big. Like Beal's, I'm pretty sure he's going to be in. Still might get like some random weirdness later in the injury report, I suppose. It's always possible with Phoenix, but I think we're going to have the full set of guys here, which is good enough for me to love the assist for Book. And just quickly on Durant's rebounds, this is entirely because he's guarding Vince Williams. So I did a little deep dive real quick. He's played 3 games against them this year. The one game he went over in rebounds where he only had 8 rebound chances, he was guarding Jaren Jackson Jr. Good rebounder, big player, plays out on the perimeter for the catch and shoot more than anything, always putting KD in bad spot for rebounds. In the first game of the season, guarded Vince Williams Jr. In the last game that they played, guarded Vince Williams Jr., which means he's guarding the guy standing in the corner, which gives him opportunity to stand on that baseline and be in great position for the board. So I think this should be easily 6.5, like minus 120, and we're getting at 5.5 around the same price.
Yeah, I mean, with KD, I've mentioned how I like the points. I like the matchup in terms of the mid-range defense. So if you get a better price there, are we a little nervous though about a back-to-back for the old wise one here, KD?
Whoa, careful what you say, because Skip Bayless just came at KD for the age thing and got the wrath of easy money snipers. So careful what you say about the age. But no, I hear what you're saying, and I'm not totally worried about it with the usage, mostly because I think it's going to be Luka style, easy rebounds. He's not being hidden on defense, but he's not guarding a primary player for a reason, and that'll lead to some more easy boards.
Okay, good to know he's got some bulletin board material then to go out and play a full slate of minutes. But yeah, I think I like your initial look with Book here more because of that, because I don't know if we'll get as high usage from KD, and Book's he's got a lot of room for positive regression on the assists, and Memphis is just an atrocious defense with spot ups with threes. So I think Phoenix will be able to hit some of these looks that he's dishing out. Lakers defense might be worse tonight, so I'll take Cam Johnson 18.5 points at even money here. FanDuel, you can get 17.5 for if you eat the juice. I mean, the Lakers are going to be without Jackson Hayes, Dorian Finney-Smith, Rui still, and Bron for a while. So like that's all the big wings and your only rim protector, right? So I think 215.5 is a look here for an over in this game. If I wasn't so worried about Luka pounding the air out of the ball with every possession, I would consider it. I think D'Lo has his eye on revenge, so maybe he convinces the coaching staff to let him go more than 24 minutes. It's just been all over the place. Otherwise, I'd suggest his props. But when D'Lo's out there to organize the offense, Cam Johnson has a huge boost in efficiency lately because he's not asked to like just be the star, Cam. Like just be Mikal Bridges of last year, where it's just like just an uncomfortable role at times for a guy who's like, I'm a wing scorer. Like I need a point guard a little bit. So his usage rate is a slight bump, but he's up to 23 points per 36 when D'Lo has been out there. We have no Cam Thomas tonight, and a recent sample. I mean, one of the only samples with Cam and no D'Lo. Cam Johnson again thrust into an uncomfortable role. He goes 3 for 20 for 13 points against Detroit. Huge usage, but 0 for 10 from 3. So, I mean, it's exactly what I'm saying. Like, he needs a point guard to feed him a little bit. And recently he did, right? He had 26 in 34 minutes against the Dubs, a very good Dubs defense. Brooklyn brought it in that one. And they've been selectively, like, bringing it against these contenders, especially when they come to Barclays. Say what you will about the dead atmosphere. These young Bucks, at least, are like, look, let's give him a game for sure. And Cam is, I guess, their best all-around player, so he's certainly going to be involved. So that Dubs game, yes, he goes 16 points against the Knicks in a very close game last month, but took 20 shots in that game, so he's willing to hoist it. And then without D'Lo or Cam Thomas, 19 and 7 dimes against OKC in another surprisingly close game, right? And yeah, if this is a Luca led team with no defensive wings, his last two against Luca's Mavs when he was with Phoenix, Cam averaged 18 and a half on very, very low usage, shot 56 and 62%. So he's going to get some good looks here. With Luca getting put in the blender a little bit, trying to put him in the action constantly and tire him out so he can't carry the offense on the other side.
Yeah, I don't. If Luca plays, he's questionable. I mean, I think he goes. Yeah, if he doesn't go, it's probably going to be a pretty close game. I think Brooklyn, like you said, like they've shown that they're out for blood. In fact, they're doing the classic. There's a new tanking tactic that seems to be overtaking the league, which is play your bad players against bad teams, play your good players against good teams. So teams like the Jazz and the Nets will play their full slate of guys, right, when the other team has their full slate of guys in, if they're good. But if they're bad, then you see everybody sit when the Nets play the Wizards and Cam T sitting in this one because it's a normal day of rest for him as he came back from injury. But either way, yeah, I think you're spot on with Cam J. Like the threes are at over 2.5 or like minus 140. Pretty nice implied probability that he's going over on the threes. And if he gets 3 threes, I feel good about his points. But yeah, I wouldn't say maybe he needs someone to set him up. I would say he definitely needs someone to set him up. So yeah, you're better to pick him with other guys on the floor, a la like a Trey Murphy on the Pelicans. Not as good if he doesn't have a point guard. Similar situation here for our boy Cam Johnson, although Trey Murphy's better than Cam Johnson. Let me make that clear. All right, last pick here. Davion Mitchell, over 7.5 points. I knew I wanted to attack Davion on the Heat here somehow, and I'm going with the points, and I'll tell you actually why I don't like the other stuff, but he's going to be guarding Melo. So we know he's going to be out there for his customary like 35, 37, anywhere up to that amount of minutes. If you look at the games recently for Davion, where he's played a team that he clearly had to guard, like his prerogative was just go out there and guard the other team's best player. In those games, he's getting the minutes. The games he's not getting the minutes was like against the Bulls, where Kobe White went off, and it just seemed like Spo's defense wasn't really pinpointing that and like wasn't having Davion just take Kobe White out of the game. He only played 30 minutes in that one. But you look at him against the Cavs to take on Donnie Mitchell. You look at him against the Timberwolves to take on Ant Edwards, 38 minutes, 36 minutes. The Knicks to take on Jalen Brunson. The Pacers to take on Hallie, and the Hawks to take on Trae Young. So all 3 of those games in a row, he played at least 37 minutes, and that 38 minutes against the Timberwolves, again, because he was Ant's primary defender. So that's going to be the case here for him and LaMelo. It's a reason I don't like the rebounds per se, right? Is like he's not going to be in position to get rebounds. He's going to be 35 feet from the basket where LaMelo's pulling all of his threes, or he's going to be chasing LaMelo into the paint. The assists, it's gotten a little bit high for me, even at 5.5. The Hornets play pretty choppy, but if LaMelo is his matchup on the other end, that's what I like. I like LaMelo getting lost in the sort of rotation of the defense and Davion Mitchell getting spot up shots versus this Charlotte squad. That's what I'm looking forward to, because you're going to have Josh Green and Tyler Hero both guarding each other. Another reason that I actually kind of like Josh Green points as well. If you can get them at 5.5, I think he's good for a couple threes against a really bad spot up defense in the corner, with Tyler Hero most likely similar standing nearest to him, unless they play that weird zone, which is just better for that anyway. But back to Davion, like when he gets the minutes, he's going to get the shots as well. And he's gotten at least 8 field goal attempts in all the games that he's played 30 plus minutes. So short of LaMelo all of a sudden trying on defense for a little bit, which he has for like spurts of this season. I can remember like a few spurts here and there, but it's against the Lakers. It's against teams that he's like going up against, right? Like that he cares about. I don't believe LaMelo's coming into this one against the Heat being like, let me get fired up to limit Davion Mitchell on defense. So I like Davion just running into those amount of points off of the catch and shoot and off of the transition, essentially.
Yeah, I just have to chuckle thinking about LaMelo getting fired up on defense at any point in his life. But yeah, I mean,
Maybe
do
when
we
he's playing
think about
Lonzo in the driveway, that would be winning.
Yes, yes. We think about fading LaMelo, 35.5 PRA when Davion, yeah, you mentioned those Trey and Ant matchups. He held both those guys under. If you're like a really heliocentric guy and the Heat just stick Davion
True.
on you, you might not do that well. I mean, and LaMelo coming off a dud against Cleveland, despite that game being extremely close.
Yeah.
And yeah, now we're minus 10 in Miami against a team that will muck it up, that will play different defenses to take away what LaMelo wants to do. I looked at that as well because I do like Davion Mitchell. So I think, yeah, he'll be out there long enough to get the 8 points because I think he'll be all over LaMelo.
Yeah, you're starting to make me realize, yeah, this game has the opportunity to go the way of their last game against Minnie, where LaMelo got shut down, he got fouls, and then when he got taken out, then Miles Bridges went clean off. So he might be getting an increase in usage there for Miles Bridges, as LaMelo probably does get that treatment, like you're
And
saying.
no Wiggins to guard Bridges, yeah.
Yep, the off-ball stuff for Hornets players is going to be way better, and some unders for the primary ball handler there. I like where your head's at. So that's all the time we have for you in Play a Props. Definitely make sure to subscribe to that page. Check out the other episode we have up with best bets with some sides and totals looks for you guys. Until we see you next, happy betting.